And we are live. Hello, Mr. Raymond Watts.
Hello, Ivan.
Rock legend.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. You're a legend. I'm a big industrial fan, and of course, you have been involved with everyone. No, but especially when you know, well, these days I think industrial is still out there, but especially in the 80s and the 90s was huge. Everyone was kind of mainstream with Nine Inch Nails and big band like KMFDM and yourself. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your first album was signed with the label of Trent Reznor?
No, that was much.
No.
The first PIG record, like the first KMFDM record that we did, was with Wax Tracks.
Ah, even better. It's like for everyone that doesn't know, Wax Tracks is like a legendary label where all the industrial scene in the United States explode from there. With Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, well, yourself. Yeah, no, it's great. So, if it doesn't bother you, my audience is really broad. I have many diverse people. So, if you can describe yourself and your project in a few words, it will be
well.
Awesome.
As a formal introduction, as a formal introduction, I am Raymond Watts, and my musical project is called PIG, and I'm based in London, and this is where it's all happening. There was a period of over 10 years when I stopped doing PIG, maybe 12 years, I think, and then started again in about 2015, and have been releasing stuff and touring up until COVID quite extensively in the last four or 5 years ago.
Oh, that's great. And what was the reason you stopped this project? Was a specific reason? Or?
Oh, it was a toxic brew. There was a lot of heroin, benzos, alcohol, depression, low self-esteem.
Okay, now I understand.
Oh, I don't mind talking about it. You know, I just kind of hit the buffers. I'd been with when I
what do you think? What was the thing that drive you there? Was like the lifestyle of the scene? Was kind of?
I think I know what you mean. I mean, basically, I think I was it was quite an so my introduction to sort of where I found my tribe was when I started working with early industrial bands with Genesis, P-Origin, and Blixa Bargeld and Einstürzende Neubauten. I did a lot of music with FM Einheit, who was part of Neubauten, and worked with Fetus and all those bands. But in the sort of the first part of the 80s, it was all about extremity, and there was a lot of chaos and fear and, you know, mayhem. But it was the world was full of that, and the music scene was full of that too. But it was like our chaos and our mayhem, and I found that kind of hyper stimulation and sort of getting extremely involved I paid quite a high price for it. So by the time we were in the 90s, and I was doing a lot of work with KMFDM, working with PIG, releasing PIG records, KMFDM records, touring with both projects, doing a lot of work in Japan, and I had these other projects in Japan as well called Schwein and Schaft with musicians there. It was full on, and I felt I had to sort of descend to a new level in the basement with every new release. In a way, I had to keep going further and further. Well, eventually, you know, you hit the impenetrable rock. And also,
you hit a wall.
I was fucking working with, you know, in kind of toxic situations, and I was done. I was just done. You know, I've been working for like 20 years non-stop. So I stopped in about 2002, 2003, and got a little bit more interested in cooking up a really, really big, strong drug habit, which went on for a long time until I got clean.
Yeah, sure. No, but that's great. But of course, I think around that time, around that scene, of course, was really, like you say, extreme, and but was really interesting and fascinating. How bad with pushing the boundaries, you know, at sonically or was really, for me, I don't know if you agree with me, but mixed with art, you know, like art in general, like fashion, you know, the way people dress was kind of part of the performance. But was there were performance was more than just a musician playing a guitar, you know, was a conceptual and counterculture. I don't know. I think it was,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, when I moved to West Berlin in the 80s, it was like getting onto it was a complete lifestyle. It was very, very different from anything I've ever experienced. I can't really go into the kind of the details of describing it, but sort of music and life were one thing, and although some of it was quite self-destructive, it was also extremely creative. You know, you have to destroy to build, and you know, I think if you've got a sort of a vision and a musical vision or whatever, you sometimes have to go through the valley of drink and drugs or whatever. Some people don't, and just and hopefully if you come out of it alive, you come out of it alive, but you've got to sort of fulfill your nature. And it is like the hammers of hell are calling, and it's very difficult to ignore that hypnotic draw, even though you know that it is quite a kind of, well, a dangerous place to be. But of course, that's half the nation.
Yeah, of course. But it happened to many artists, like Al Jorgensen from Ministry. Everyone knows a little story, and Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails also got to get through that, because I was thinking.
I think also, I mean, we come into this music as looking for a kind of a vehicle to attach ourselves, to find ourselves with, and to express yourself, to find yourself, and you want to escape, but you want to belong at the same time. And I think the self-destructive thing, it's like, you know, it may be self-destructive, but the road to ruin at least feels like it has a destination, whereas before there didn't seem to be a destination in life.
Sure.
Does
yeah,
that make
because it's a way to connect with people too, because you will sing about stuff and I'm depressed too, great.
Well, yeah,
or I don't know.
You're right. I mean, music is the great link in the chain in humanity for me. I mean, it is the linking thing. I mean, weirdly, I can, you know, I one thing in lockdown and this COVID thing is that I can experience really, really strongly without other people being around is music.
Yes.
And you know, and it's quite magic. That's sort of the fact that it's like a kind of, it's magic. You can't see it, but you feel it really strongly. It's the art form that has the strongest visceral effect on me. And it also, it's magic because it's like a time machine. I was listening today, weirdly this afternoon, to I was listening to the Rolling Stones, Sum of Exile on Main Street, right? And one of the great things about that kind of music, whether you like it or not, you can really hear the humanity in the music. You know, the kind of the scuffs of the fingers on the frets, and it's like a direct time travel back to those guys recording in that room. And it's quite magic. And it's, you know, when you look at old family Polaroids of you when you were little, or people when they were little, you sort of, I go back and I remember, but music, it's instantaneous.
Yes.
You know,
it's
whatever it is.
It's like traveling into time, like a time machine. It's I completely agree. But I know you don't have a lot of time, so I will love to hear about what your your new record is about?
Well, it's called Pain is God.
Pain is God.
Pain is God. P-I-G. Pig.
Yes.
Well, I mean, one thing I don't really do is sort of explain what it's about, because that's sort of
sure.
I mean, it's just a fucking kick-ass record that's got 14 tracks on the CD and 16 on the vinyl, which has had a few problems in the birth canal at the factory, the vinyl edition, but it's now, as they say, oh look, my picture's just changed. How weird. Yeah, but it's you know, something I really enjoyed making and I had to make. It's a labor of love. Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another big record. But kind of once for me, the thing about when I'm making the record, it's the process of making it and coming up with the ideas and working with these incredible people that I work with. You know, all the art people, you know, Gabriel Edvey and Luke Dangler and Mark Griffiths and Vlad McNeely. They're all these people who help me on the kind of the visual side of things. And I'm working with Steve White a lot, who was in the Pig band back in the 90s. Once I'm done with it, I'm sort of done with it, and I get on with the next one in my head. You know, it arrives. Oh, that looks nice, and it's about the process for me.
But for you approached an album like a collection of songs, or you try to make kind of a concept of it? There's like you try to create a vibe, or do you just want to be as much diverse as possible?
I don't really know the answer to that. I mean, I still think of a record as a whole. I know people don't really listen to albums like albums in the correct running order anymore. A lot of people don't. But I see it as, I start working on the songs, I have a collection of songs, and I start going, yeah, but this as a, you know, I want, as I've said before, you know, I want it to be a palace with many rooms, you know, and they're not all filled with pain, all the rooms, but sometimes you go, like, if you build a house with fucking 7 kitchens, you go, well, what about a fucking bathroom? We need so I try and put a bathroom and a kitchen, a lounge and a fucking games room in there, you know, to make it so like, you know, oh, and I need a nice, you know, a roof and a chimney. Yeah, I mean,
yes, try to find a balance between the songs.
Yeah, I just kind of go, oh, I need something that's a bit more instrumental, or something that's a little bit more electronic, and just so it's not too boring. So it's got some interest, but it all has to sit within one thing. So the short answer to your question is yes, I see it as a whole thing.
Yeah, no, because I know every artist approach it differently. Sometimes it's just a random collection of songs, or sometimes they really think about, what will be the next song, and they try to create a kind of a concept or something.
Yeah.
And no, that's great. And do you everything by yourself, or sometimes you?
Well, I've co-written a few songs on this album with people. One of them was co-write with the fabulous John Fryer, who's got a marvelous sort of track record, and some other people. But I mean, obviously, I write all the words. Some of them, I sort of let myself loose with the guitar a little bit. But I've been working, like I said, with Steve White again, who was also
playing with KMFDM during that period, right?
But he was with Back in the Trenches with Pig, like way longer.
Okay.
For years before that, he worked with me on quite a lot of tours and records. He's a fantastic guitar player. Now, I've been lucky to work with some really great guitar players in Pig. You know, each album I'll generally, you know, Alex Hacker from Neubauten played on the first one, Carl Hyde from Underworld played on one of them, Mark Thwaite from all sorts of bands played. Ben Christo from the Sisters played on one, but Steve is the one I kind of go back to a lot, because he's got this brilliant kind of crunch, but also a really light touch. So it's not all it's got a delicate hand as well. So it's an interesting picture. I love working with him, Michel Martinez, Eden. These are all people I work with. They really enrich it. But my thing is, I find working with good people is really the bottom line for me. You know, like I work with my labels, you know, Metropolis, who do my American label, they're great. And then Armalyte, the label here in the UK, who do mainly the bespoke luxury vinyl stuff. They're fucking great because they are music fans.
Oh, yes.
And it's so great to work with a nice label. So I was talking to Giles, who runs the label, the other day. We were talking about something. And I was going, oh, well, what about this, that? And then he said, what did he say? He said, well, it's, you know, the labels that I really look up to, Red, you know, like Factory and Wax Tracks and all the really cool labels, but they all went bankrupt, you know. So
yes.
And when we're discussing doing a record, I have these crazy ideas about packaging, and instead of him going, oh, that's going to cost too much, that's going to cost too much, it's like, let's do that. So Armalyte indulge all the fabulous art projects, and Metropolis also support just getting the shit out as, you know, as nicely as possible as well. So it's a good balance.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, because sometimes it's really cool have a good artwork or a packaging that is, but yeah, sometimes it's kind of it costs money. That's for sure.
Well, we all love, I mean, listen, music is just, I mean, the packaging, it's just a delivery system. You can get a fucking download code for nothing.
Yes, for sure. But I think it's a good strategy when you you invest some money in a good packaging, in a good edition. People will buy it, even if they don't open it. They will gonna keep the object. It's like a collection item. But if they were gonna listen it on Spotify or stuff like that. But of course, there are still people that listen to
But it's a great
vinyl.
It's a fantastic way of supporting people and allowing music to continue.
Yes.
Because, I mean, particularly at the moment, I mean, not just with COVID, this fucking Brexit disaster is going to really decimate, you know, thousands of people's jobs in the music entertainment industry, you know, and the possibility of touring looks really pretty bleak at the moment, even if, you know, COVID lifts. I mean, so it's a really fantastic way to be able to have fun making something that's really nice and people support.
Yes.
And, you
to
know,
connect with the artist in a different way.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And no, I listened to the album and it's great. For me, it's kind of you are very consistent, I think, during all your discography. No, even if you change, but
that's like the weird. Is that a compliment or is it like damned with faint praise?
No, but I knew you have your
fabulous, consistently fabulous.
Yeah, consistently fabulous. If you want. No, but that's rare, you know, because most artists, they change a lot during that time. Not every time in a good way. But you, I don't know. When I listen to your voice, I recognize it immediately. It's great. And the way you sing, especially your voice, is really characteristic, at least for me. The way, and it's
that's nice of you. But actually, I was thinking, I think I saw you interviewing Enesh, or as I know him, from KMFDM. Now he's got a voice that is just instantaneously recognized.
His voice very, very low.
I mean, that guy, he's a gem. I mean, he is an absolute.
How was touring with KMFDM? How was it that day? Because I remember when I saw the VHS Bit by Bit. It was so funny the stories when you are trying to ask an antibiotic for to such a. I say no, but this is you're sick. No, but I'm sick. Give it to me.
I saw some of Beat by Beat. It wasn't that bit. I saw some recently on like some Facebook thing, and I think they made another one for one of the other tours I was on before I left, a sort of rock tour thing. How was it? it was a
blur.
It was intense. I used to really I mean, I you know, it's as serious as a fucking hand grenade for me doing my thing, right? It's really serious. Although, you know, it can have, you know, the fallout can be great fun and hoots and stuff, but I found I really fucking went to the extremes on those tours. It's quite a lot. It was just going quite a long way. And I don't just mean getting fucked up afterwards, but just like we were up for days and days, and it was like quite a big thing for me. I mean, some of the band would just, you know, wanted to get paid and see how much merch was sold or whatever. But for me, I'm not really interested in that shit. I mean, I think it's quite fun, but it was deadly serious. And it cost me a lot. You know, I fucked up my back really badly. I used to knock my teeth out. I was always in fucking hospital.
So it was a kind of intense, you know.
I don't know what I'm saying. It was intense, but it was great. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, for sure. And can you, but I don't know if you want to, but can you tell us a little how you start your music career?
Okay, when I was really young, when I was still in school, me and my brother and a guy who lived down the road, we had a little. This was like early sort of 70s, you know, about 73. We had a little cassette recorder, you know, a little box like this, and we used to literally just make noises into it and record. And my brother, you know, there was a little piano at home. My brother played that, and I got a really cheap little drum kit, and we bashed away, and we had a little band at school at home. And then I studied, you know, 1976 came along. I was like 15, punk rock, played in a little punk band at school, dyed my hair, got thrown out, came back, caught drinking beer, thrown out of school, left school when I was 16. It was like, you know, punk rock thing happening. It was my way of escaping, and to echo what I was saying before, it was finding myself but escaping at the same time, and belonging and rejecting, and a real sort of car crash. And I ended up making our little sort of post-punk band. We ended up hooking up with a Japanese guy and recording an album in the UK. Actually, it was quite a weird thing. We made an album at John Lennon's house, where he was obviously dead.
What?
Yeah, where he, you know, Imagine and Phil Spector, and it was like really weird. We went to this place to record. Awesome. It was just a shitty pop record. And then we went to Japan in 1981. I was, you know, they were trying to turn us into a pop band. It didn't work. I completely rejected it. And then a friend of mine introduced me to the Neubauten guys when I came back to England, and I started working with them and cutting tape loops. And I felt much more, oh, this is much more happening. Started touring with them, joined a German band called Abwärts, went on tour with Johnny Thunders, opening for him, started doing sound for Neubauten, was recording Psychic TV, that sort of thing. And then KMFDM, PIG, Fetus, all that shit. You know, that's how it started.
Wow. No, that's interesting. But how was the switch from punk rock to Einstürzende Neubauten? What was your impression when you listened them for the first time? Was like, what the fuck?
I think the first time I saw them, actually, and I wasn't doing sound for them then, I was going, fucking hell, this is really, I mean, I'd sort of worked with bands that were quite extreme. There was a band called Zoskir and a band that I was in, and working with Genesis, his band. But a Neubauten was properly, authentically quite fucking chaotic and a little bit scary. You know, gigs weren't like controlled with fucking barriers and security guys. It was all completely anarchic. And you thought, oh my God, somebody's going to get seriously hurt here. You know, it was fabulous.
No, for sure they were pretty unique. Well, they are pretty unique still. But they are more, I think, a little more calm these days. Maybe.
Yeah. So.
But of course, that what I was saying, during that time, there was a lot of experimentation, trying to find new ways to make music.
Yeah.
I think that's what was kind of the how a start of the kind of industrial revolution, with Neubauten or KMFDM or TV, trying to find something new, something different. I don't know.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, just punk rock was really exciting and the attitude, but it was still the same architecture of rock and roll. It was guitars, bass, and drums. So that bit was the same. Yeah, the attitude was all different, but the thing about the Neubauten, that whole thing, the very early industrial bands, was it didn't use them. It used a different set of tools.
Sure.
So it was a little bit more groundbreaking, I think.
Yes. And PIG, how was your idea to start with PIG?
Oh, I'd just been fucking around in the studio quite a lot with FM Einheit, guy from Neubauten, chopping tape loops and experimenting. And then, of course, we got access to, I got my first little 8-bit sampler. And that was, for me, obviously at that time, in the 80s, that was the eureka moment, because although it was very crude sampler, it had 8 bits and you couldn't store anything, you couldn't really trim it.
Really expensive at that time.
Well, my one was really cheap. My one was an 8-bit one. It was the first cheap one.
Oh, okay.
That's what we did the first KMFDM recordings with, the first PIG stuff. And that was the eureka moment, because you could put an orchestra or a piece of metal or a bit of guitar or a buzz or a whatever into it.
Yes. No, for sure, the sampler revolutionized everything. And no, but of course you are right there, because you were part of the guys that were looking for new sounds, looking for something different. Yeah. And so then your first album was released with Wax Trax?
Wax Trax, yes.
So how was that? You approached them, they approached to you?
Do you know, actually, I can't remember. There was I had a little label in Germany called Potomac with Klaus Mack. He had a label, I think he was a filmmaker, and he worked for a publishing company as well. He did my publishing. And somehow it sort of, so there was a label in Germany, there was Wax Trax in Chicago. And then, of course, I left Wax Trax and then went back to them in about 94, 95. And then I went to Trent's label, nothing, and then back to Wax Trax. And all the time it was a kind of convoluted thing. It makes the discography a little complex.
So I was right when you were in the label of Trent?
Yeah, just for one record.
Was it Nothing Records, right?
Yeah, I did a record called Sensation with them in America.
Okay. So how was that? They was similar?
Hey, listen, I think probably a bunch, they were sort of pretty mega at the time. And I think probably people who like Nails might have seen the word Nothing on the back of it and bought it. And a few people might have been introduced to PIG that way, but it wasn't a relationship where they were proactive or we didn't really have any communication. Just the record was put out. They did ask me to go on a tour. I think I was asked to go on, was there a tour called The Night of Nothing with Manson and Nails? But I didn't go on it. I was out with KMFDM and I didn't want, although I wanted to do the Night of Nothing thing, I was sort of on that tour when they asked me, and it would have meant jumping off, leaving the KMFDM one, and I thought that wasn't the right thing to do. So there was a little bit of that kind of fertilization, cross thing.
Yeah, no, but that I think that period was really exciting. Everyone, I don't know, you feel that was something that was happening, that you were part of a movement that it started to create a kind of a cultural change or something that we're going to leave a mark?
To me, I have to be perfectly honest.
Sure.
No, I didn't ever feel that. I was just always so, I'm just as involved in doing something, whether it goes out to one person or I'm doing something when I was doing music for McQueen or weird little obscure films and installations, it's just as encompassing and involved me as whatever. I never go, oh, this is a little moment in history, or oh, it just doesn't go in. I'm just,
yes.
What's next?
No, I completely understand. You are focused on what you're doing right now, and then maybe now looking back, you say, wow, we kind of revolution music a little.
I don't know. Well, I think revolution might be a bit of a strong word.
But you leave a mark, at least. You know.
I think what that thing did. This, going back to your asking about the sampler and me talking about the eureka moment.
Sure.
It was the bringing together of, like, what we were able to do was to take guitars from metal bands and put them with different kinds of beats, with different kinds of vocals, and big band samples and music concrete and sort of blend up a bunch of different ingredients. That was the thing, I think.
Yes. No, that's great. And I can ask you how you come up with your vocal style, because for me it's really characteristic. You know, I can close my eyes and say,
this is the magic. This is the magic thing. This is the magic thing, right? This is the fucking magic. This is the secret. I open my mouth and it just comes out.
But the idea of add distortion, for example, on your vocals.
I don't really add much distortion now at all. Nowadays, really? I mean, I used to back then, but now I hardly ever do at all.
Okay.
I just give it a little bit of that sort of valvey thing now, and fuck knows.
Yeah, no, that's great, because it's
I don't. It's like I don't know where it comes from, and I don't really like to wonder about it. It's like when I write the stuff I write about, I don't really fucking know where it comes from.
Yes. No, but I think it's
I don't want to put down a bunch of shit, but it's I don't want to sort of question where this shit is coming from, because if I do that, it might scurry away and hide in the shadows again.
Yeah, it broke the spell.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Well, we did half an hour. I don't know if you have more time or.
Well, is there anything else you need to ask?
Well, it's also a question, but I know you're a busy guy, so.
No. If you've got anything you need to ask.
No. For me, maybe just to finish, I would like to know a little bit your relation with fashion or art in general, because sometimes musicians are just kind of one dimension. You know, I sing or I play the guitar, but I can see you already have been interested to mix, you know, different mediums, or like, I don't know, fashion or art in general. So,
well, I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, I don't have a fantastic interest in fashion, but when I started working for the McQueen label and doing stuff for them, it was quite an eye opener. So a guy who got me into it was John Gosling, who used to be in Psychic TV way back in the early 80s, and we had this side band called Zoskia, and he ended up doing a lot of the musical direction for loads of McQueen projects. And I remember saying to him one day, after looking at McQueen stuff for like hours and hours and days, I was going, fuck. She said, John, this is really fucking outrageously out there, what this guy does. I mean, it's not like that other shit, you know. It's just, and he said, well, yeah, no, he's like he's the genius, right? And it spoke about so much more than just a nice silhouette. It spoke about it spoke on lots of different levels, and I found that really kind of interesting. But more generally about music, and not just the music. I mean, it isn't just the music and the riffs and the songs and the choruses. I like it's the whole thing. It's the lyrical content and the packaging, and I suppose some people might say the brand or whatever, but the identity of it. And that's one of the great things about PIG is slightly different now. You know, I work with a lot more people now. It's a lot more collaborative on different levels. Whereas before, back in the 90s, it was pretty much just me going along like this, you know. It's like, don't disturb me. I've got this idea, you know, like keep out of my way. And it is great to be able to, you know, particularly the visual people I work with, you know, bouncing ideas and just literally shooting the shit and then say, I've got this funny idea for this and I want to look like this. And then they go, oh yeah. And they go off and do things and come back to me, and it's all part of that thing. And you know what? It's really, you know, it's really great fun. And it's the not knowing whether it's going to work, just being slightly, oh fuck, this is all a bit crazy. And moving forward, I just really like to be going, you know, what's the next thing, and discussing the next project with the label and Giles and Brooke and all the people that I work with. It's kind of cool, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, really. Definitely, if you find the right collaborators, it will help you grow. But I think,
yeah. But you know what, man? I mean, music, like drugs, can, you know, it can attract, you know, what do they say? It can attract the worst and corrupt the best.
The best and the worst.
Yeah, you know, and things can get really bad quite quickly.
Yes. No, for me, you know, for example, playing in a band is really sometimes hard. You know, a band with every member has his own opinion and right to do stuff, because it's kind of like a couple, you know, like a relationship with a girlfriend. You know, you will see every day this person, and you have to be a little bit on the same. No, it's too fast. No, it's too slow. So I don't know. On my personal case, at the end, I play in many bands, but at the end, I finish doing my stuff alone. But I love to collaborate. I love to collaborate, but it's different. You know, it's like, this is my project. I let you in.
Yeah,
we can exchange, but this is my place.
So a couple of years ago, I was in the States with on tour with Killing Joke. One of them said to me, I can't remember which one. Oh, Geordie, the guitarist. He said, because they were like on their 40th anniversary tour, right? You know,
yeah, they're really vintage.
He said, well, you know, our band's lasted longer than any of our relationships. You know, any of them. Anything. It's like, wait.
They should put that on the cover.
I said, what the fuck is it that people? What is it? He said, He said, our fans, they just like to see us suffer together.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Raymond, I really thank you for your time. I want to invite everyone to check out their last album of PIG, called Pain is God, a very provocative title. And no, I really thank you. I really thank you. I had a great time. You're a legend. And yeah, you're welcome wherever when you will have your new record or whatever you want. We can keep talking about stuff on art, music, whatever you want.
It's been a joy. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed talking to you, and check out the new stuff coming out the PIG pipe later this year. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, for sure. So thank to everyone that connect. Thank you to you, Raymond, and well, we stay in touch.
Next time. Okay, all the best.
Bye.
Cheers, man. I don't know how to turn